Hi. About a minute early, but no big deal. Wait for some peoples to join. I'm still trying to understand the whole copyright thing. I did try and contact the owners of the documentary and material, but they never got back to me. So I'm going to just adhere to the Fair Usage Act, and I think I have to pause like every 30 seconds or something like that. But more than likely, what will happen is I'll just play a portion and pause it, and we'll just, if there's anything to be, because I'm going to zoom through this documentary. Anybody can see this documentary on YouTube. So, hey, Judy. So I'm just going to like skim through it and kind of play some highlights. Anywho, just waiting for people to come in. Give it a few minutes. How you doing, Judy? God, my hair is a hot mess. So we got that. And I need to get rid of that. All right. I'm with it now. UFO TV. And they can be quite strict on copyrights. So cross your fingers. YouTube, don't shut my ass down. All right, people, it's 6. I have a little synopsis that I'll read. Basically about the history of what the Scole Experiment was, and the creators, basically. And then we'll go through the documentary. So, hey, Vicky. I'm just giving it a few minutes. I don't know. I'll probably start my shit in about 3 minutes. Oh, it's all good. I'm already freaking out. Oh, this chair. I will apologize because my cough is really bad this evening, so bear with. God, it was so nice out today, and I could not sleep for anything last night. One of those off and on things. I was doing the split shift thing again. I was supposed to go over to my parents today, and I didn't wake up until like 2:30, so I don't usually go over there that late. I didn't fully wake up until about 3:30. It's like, no. I'm just I don't know. It's a thing. So I gotta go over there tomorrow. I can hear the cleaning lady all the way back in my back bedroom. That's one loud ass vacuum cleaner. Oh, you do? Ooh. As long as there's no flooding this time around, damn. We could use some rain, but it's winter time, so I'm like, no. It was all sunshiny today. What, like 50, 53 Fahrenheit, I think. Something like that. Not too bad. Pretty sunset. And then I think tomorrow's supposed to be shitty and rainy. You have to follow up a nice day with something crappy, you know? I would not be fitting under my bed. I'd be in a closet. And actually, I'd probably be in the bathroom because that's the central point. Yeah. Except I'm on the second floor, so just raise the roof. There was one year, I think it was back in 93. I really don't remember because there's been a couple times between 93 and like 2003. We had a hail. God, they were like, some were like softball, but I mean, yeah, baseball and golf ball size pieces of chunks of ice falling from the sky. It like totaled the city. All the parking lots and, you know, the car lots, all those cars were demolished. Although, yeah, my dad's car, every car here got totaled. Blew in the windows. I got lucky. I seriously, I had a few tears in my screens on my windows, but nothing else. So I didn't have to make a claim. All I could hear was glass breaking. It was me and my cat huddled up in the bathroom underneath this narrow ass countertop. Well, it sounded like a bunch of horses were like running across the roof. It was loud. I thought, oh no. That was probably the only time I've been scared. Yeah. Like it tore up the neighborhood. It's like that was like one of the biggest insurance claims that we've ever had here. It was bad. Imagine getting hit with one of those in your head, man. Baseball size hail. That would, no. But yeah. And some of them actually did go through the roofs of the townhomes, condominiums. Anyway, where are we at? We're at 8 minutes, yo. All right, I'm going to get this party started. The Scole Experiment. It was actually started in 1993, and it was over a 5-year period. So from 1993 to 1998. In the history of paranormal research, the Scole Experiment continues to be the most remarkable event of the 20th century. They had 500 sessions over that 5-year time period. 4 British spiritualist mediums produced more than 100 different kinds of phenomena, such as apports. That's the word. Objects appearing out of thin air. That's what apports is. Poetry and drawings appearing on unopened and unprocessed 35 millimeter film. Variations of lights, and a quartz crystal, while giving off its own light, you couldn't touch it. It was okay. You'll probably see that in the document. Or I did like a trailer. I know that's in my trailer. The Scole Group's bi-weekly sittings, which took place in 6 countries and were witnessed by nearly 1,000 people, were free of allegations of fraud. It was a very controlled experiment. Um, 3 trained Society for Psychical Research Scientists, who knew, who attended 20 sessions for the purpose of investigating the phenomenon, were unable to explain, much less duplicate, any of the phenomena by normal means. That's freaky, okay? That right there. I mean, these people were put into like a house, and then they were locked in a room. It was very controlled. And somebody outside the group, like one of the witnesses or scientists, would purchase the 35 millimeter film, still wrapped in its package, and they would just basically place it on the table in the room with the group. And, make sure no hanky-panky, trickery was going on. And then when they would close out the experiment and they were done, they would open up the film, and there would be like writings, photographs of historic events, images of people, poetry. Anyway, moving on. And this is over my chat, so hold up. Let me look. Okay. I need to find some Polaroid film because I have an old Polaroid camera. It's pretty weird. But yeah, that could be useful. That was my cell phone. Oh, really? The Scole Experimental Group consisted of 2 couples, Alan and Diana Bennett, and Robin and Sandra Foy. They conducted serious scientific research during 500 experiments, collecting data, photographs, audio, video, blah, 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 light phenomenon, other manifestations observed by witnesses, and seeking evidence for the survival of human personality or consciousness into an afterlife using an entirely new and unique energy-based approach. Ooh, I like that number. Along the way, they discovered data and evidence suggestive of conscious life in space and hyperspace. And let it be noted, the group operated completely independently of the spiritualist movement or any other organization. They were non-religious and non-sectarian. Their work was intended to be universal and embrace people from all walks of life, whatever their beliefs. I believe these 2 couples were mediums, but they also met up with other people who were also studying. Like, I can't think of the dude's name offhand because it's in the documentary. And this Italian guy over in Italy. It's gone. All I hear are vowels floating through my head. And then they kind of met up with him, and he had built a radio. And of course, it was huge. And people would like flock to him and try and get messages from people who have crossed over. And they have like a wall of photographs of people that have been contacted through this spirit box. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start this documentary. Like I said, this could be annoying. Hey, Joe. Damn, Joe. You want to come up on panel? Or you want to just let me linger out here? It doesn't matter, man. I think I have to pause it like every 30 seconds or something like that. So we're going to skim it. That's what we're going to do. All right. Here we go.
In the mid-1990s, in the tiny English village of Scole, one of the most remarkable experiments ever attempted in communication with the dead took place in the cellar of this house.
Ooh, the cellar.
The Scole Experimental Group who conducted these experiments consisted of Diana and Alan Bennett, two of Britain's most accomplished mediums, as well as organisers and investigators Robin and Sandra Foy.
Hi, hello there.
For 5 years, twice a week, the group would meet in this tiny cellar.
Look at that little bitty room.
Here the Bennetts would go into trance, allowing what they say were the voices of the dead to speak through them.
Yes, we hear you.
Hello.
Come on, friends.
We can hear you starting.
But the Scole Group went far beyond this, achieving spectacular results in an acclaimed form of spirit communication known as physical mediumship.
There's a wide range of phenomena that physical mediumship.
Check it out, people. Now, okay, if you're in the paranormal field, you know who this guy is. Vicky? Do you know who Lloyd Arbach is? I actually consider him to be the father of parapsychology. Bueller? Okay, anyway. He is a very renowned author on the topic of paranormal research. I think he might be a parapsychologist. Yeah, he's awesome. Anyway.
Over the centuries has been supposedly able to produce
Spiritualist.
objects levitating, chairs, tables, objects in the room, apports, and teleportation. There were things just dropping out of nowhere.
Teleportation. See, flower petals.
Sometimes disappearing and reappearing. Apparent spirit hands, apparent spirit forms, things that people can see happening. There's an effect on real objective things based on supposedly the communication or contact between a medium and the spirit world. The spirits are using the medium as a conduit to cause these events to happen.
That's some crazy shit. Now wait, I gotta skim. Let's try here.
In 93. But both claimed their astonishing abilities began long before this.
My first discovery of
Well, I would
being a
think
medium
so.
was when I was a child. I used
the
to
audio
see a
okay?
spirit. I used to hear things and be aware of things that other people weren't aware.
When I was young, I saw spirits that would come and show themselves to me.
England
I
seems
think
so
the greatest
quaint.
effort come from the spirit side. I mean, without them, you can sit there and nothing will happen.
But a great deal did happen, more in fact than any other mediumship experiment ever conducted. And according to the Scole Group, this success was due to the efforts of a group of deceased personalities on the other side. They called this group the Spirit Team.
A spirit team was a team of spirit personalities who had lived a life on this earth. Several of them had been scientists whilst they were here.
I remember that. They contact this spirit team quite often during their experiments. That's kind of crazy. So, okay, we're still with the two couples.
The Scole Group say instructions on how to conduct the experiments were received from the Spirit Team, speaking via the mediums.
If you put your hand into the bones.
Some of the initial experiments involved photography. These began conventionally enough, with the boys being told to load a film into a camera and place it on the table. But after this, things began to get very strange.
We heard the camera moving round over our heads, clicking and being wound on by spirit.
In total darkness, so that in reality, nothing should have showed up on the film. But when the film was developed, there were amazing pictures. Wartime pictures of St. Paul's and the bus that was blown apart in the Blitz. Quite amazing stuff. It was never explained to us exactly why we got these particular pictures, other than the fact that we had a separate photographic spirit team working with us at that stage, who were practicing their art and seeing what they could achieve.
So,
Okay, this was earlier on that they loaded the film into a camera, and oh wow. But later they would bring in just a packet of film in and leave it unopened.
some films contained images of faces, including human faces, in various stages of formation.
There were a series that appeared to represent bubbles and various other things coming together, partial faces, etc. We were told that what we were seeing were areas of communication within the spirit world.
The Scole group believed these faces were images of deceased people, which were somehow projected from the other side. To them, this theory
Well, that's
was
no
confirmed
pareidolia or
with the
whatever.
appearance on another Scole film of this blurry profile. Communicators through the mediums informed them that it belonged to a man named Kingsley Fairbridge, who had died in 1924.
Would
were
you
put
know
in
that
touch
from
in a
that?
very obscure way with his daughter,
Oh,
who was happy to agree that that was a picture of her father.
yeah. Sort of see it.
In the next experiments, the Scole group say they were able to create these images not only in total darkness, but without the use of a camera.
We were asked by the spirit team to put a totally unopened Polaroid 35mm film just in its
There it
plastic
is.
container. If the spirit team felt that they'd achieved the result, we were asked to develop it.
This could be done immediately in a special processing machine.
You can imagine how surprised when we brought this film up, had never been opened, put it through the processor and viewed it, and there was images and faces and writing.
Look at this.
How do you explain it was there, you know?
In order to counter accusations that they faked these images, the group invited independent investigators to select the films.
I checked the box, which was factory sealed, identifiable by the glue marks.
He then broke the seal, signed the plastic film container, and carried it into the session where it remained on the table. But could it have been switched?
I'm 100% certain that the film I selected was the same film that was returned to me at the end of the session.
The film was immediately processed in front of him.
Halfway along the film, we could see a Latin statement. The spirit team had said that they'd worked on the film, and lo and behold, there it was.
Okay, tell me that ain't crazy. tell me that ain't some crazy stuff right there. Oh my God. Okay, even if somebody did switch out the film, how are they going to get these images on the film? That alone is like, doesn't make sense how that could, no, it can't be replicated. So, I don't know. What do y'all think? Remember, I got to keep pausing this. Fair use and all. It's weird how they have that science team on, that's on the other side communicating with them and, advising them. They almost seem like a team of scientific spirit guides. Wow. All right.
Do I believe in an afterlife? Yes, I do. Completely. I had an experience where I met a medium on the street and she described my great grandparents, my grandparents.
All right, we don't need to watch that. Hang on.
Is also called direct radio voice, or DRV, and is virtually unknown to the public. With it, experimenters believe that two-way conversations with the dead are possible. But could the Scole group communicate?
This is
through
the Italian guy.
radio?
Manu, are you there?
I think.
Hello? Yes. Hello, Manu. Thank you, Manu.
Yes.
After
Very
this,
first time
scientist
something like
Harry
that was
Oldfield,
tried.
a colleague of the Scole group, attempts further communication.
We would like to ask the question of the appearance of your space. Can you tell something about Scole? Thank you. Will the work progress? Thank you. This is what I needed to know.
Experts say that Bach's
See, that's some
ability to
grade
invite the spirits to
A
speak through his
voice
radio
phenomenon
is
right
usually
there.
so reliable, he conducts regular sessions. This seems highly improbable, but these grieving parents
There's the wall
don't think
pictures.
so. The walls are littered with pictures of dead loved ones. Parents clearly recognize the voices as belonging to their departed children.
Io sono certa che è mio figlio così come le altre mamme, perché i ragazzi quando si presentano prima chiamano la mamma, il nome della mamma e poi il loro nome.
Yes, they're in
A
Italy.
parte poi che la voce è quella di mio figlio, l'ho già detto, quindi è inutile che lo ridica.
Unreal. Okay, let's see about more from those radio people. Look at all this
To
equipment.
investigate paranormal claims.
Jesus!
He is a medium. Surely is a medium because all happen when he is present on the experiments.
Oh.
Using software endorsed by the FBI, Il Laboratorio have conducted voice print analysis. Like a fingerprint, a voice print is unique. It can therefore be used to determine someone's identity with near certainty.
Yep.
They compared voice prints from two audio samples. One was the voice of Shiara Lenzi, recorded before she died. The other came out of Bachi's radio after her death and was clearly recognized by her father. The comparison produced a 97% match. Despite this startling evidence, skeptics claim that the voice
That's Bachi.
is faked by transmitting them
To the right.
from a remote location. But Dr. Emanuele Toriello, who has been investigating Bachi for decades, believes this is impossible. Dr. Toriello was present during key scientific experiments that he says eliminated any possibility of remote transmission. One of the first of these experiments involved putting Bachi's radio inside a special device that shields it from all radio
It's like a
signals.
Faraday cage.
Yet still, the voices continued.
Second point, the radio was switched off, and though the voices were going through.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. They put the radio inside what looked to be a Faraday cage, and the radio was off, and voices were still coming through the radio. Okay, so Bachi, this is the Italian guy with his radio that I mentioned earlier. That is so unreal. Mind blown.
The third and main point, that the tube or the valves of the radio were totally removed. Still the voice were going through. So you tell me how it's
They even removed the tubes.
Thank you for your hard work.
Jeez.
Do you believe in the possibility of life after?
Jeez. That's unreal. Tube radio. That's interesting. Oh, I'm losing my voice. Well, I'm wondering if any investigators have ever tried an old tube type radio for EVPs or ITC box. Ooh, are ITC boxes made with the tubes, with the tube type? I don't know nothing. Anyway, let me skim through this a little bit. Do. Ooh, what is that? All right.
Half a dozen people in the country who would know exactly what they were talking about.
Such evidence is gold dust to researchers, as it is unlikely to have been fabricated by the mediums who possess no academic training in this area.
Well, how could
Although
you?
the scientists found this sort of evidence impressive, they still needed to eliminate any possibility of fraud taking place under the cover of darkness. Therefore, the Scole Group devised several controls to help eliminate this possibility. One of these controls involved all participants wearing luminous wristbands. These bands were attached to Velcro, so they could
forgot
not be
about
removed
this.
without attracting attention. They also requested the use of night vision equipment.
We persistently asked them to accept infrared cameras, and they said not yet. It would interfere with the energy in some way. So we had to accept this with great reluctance.
We were told that this phenomenon could be developed in the light, but if it were, it would take an awfully long time to produce, years and years, rather than a few months that it actually took us.
Critics saw this insistence on darkness as an excuse to hide fraud, but participants to the Scole experiment were not always in total darkness.
Look at you.
So the light phenomenon.
There were various shapes, generally like a pea-sized light, and you had substance. They would come and sit on your hand. You could feel them.
They were intelligently directed and intelligently moving, and would be responsive to our wishes, whether expressed or silent.
The gyrations were sometimes so rapid that it almost left like a circle of light going.
Professional magician.
Over there. Sometimes two lights would appear and just stare at me within inches of my eyes.
I thought at first that the lights must be small light-emitting diodes suspended on the end of nylon fishing
All
lines.
these scientists and
The light would
experts.
start to do a tap dance on the table, bouncing up and down on the table, and you could hear it click as it rebounded from the table. And suddenly
It went pop, went through the table and came out the other side. Now, no nylon fishing line explanation would account for it going through an apparently solid, well, it was a solid object, a table.
The lights also had another rather strange trick up their sleeve, if I may talk about lights as having sleeves, and that was to pass through bodies.
I was actually used as a guinea pig in the early days to see how it felt and to develop the phenomena. And this light would actually enter through my chest, and then 3 minutes later it would probably pop out of the arm or something and disappear across the room. This was being developed to produce a healing phenomenon.
I have this bad knee, and what?
Well, that is weird. Although I want to express that later on, like it ended in 1998. The Foys and Bennetts kind of went their way, but they still kept up with things, because for I think a couple years that it was just dead silent. They weren't getting anything, so that's why they stopped. But the couples continued, and they continued doing research in the light, and were able to get results that way as well. So that's a continuation of this, that they have yet to put together a documentary on that. I don't know if I think there's maybe a book on it. I think I left the link to their website below. Yeah, many did express some healing benefits from when these lights did pass through them. Which, wow. I need some light. Does anybody else need a light? I need a light.
Acting. The researchers didn't think so.
The voices were quite different from those of the mediums themselves, and the personalities behind the voices were not only quite different, but were very consistent. Even the accents were.
But it wasn't just the consistency of the accents that impressed the researchers. They reported that the personalities also remembered every detail of all conversations spoken to visitors over a 5-year period. Add to those skills the ability to read minds.
That's
this apparently
freaky.
occurred when a female spirit spoke to the group.
She would tell us what was going to happen. She would comment on what we were doing and sometimes what we were thinking. She would answer our questions quite frequently before we'd actually asked them, which was quite embarrassing sometimes.
Thank you for your warm appreciation of what you're trying to do.
This communicator identified herself as the spirit of a Mrs. Emily Bradshaw.
And Mrs. Bradshaw, who was a very commanding figure, a lady of the upper class Victorian or Edwardian lady. She sounded like that.
We continue from our side of life to influence people still in the body.
But what evidence was there that these voices were really from the deceased?
We knew that we were communicating with deceased personalities because a number of people who communicated with us were able to be identified by independent witnesses at the time who could testify as to them being people they knew, evidence which couldn't possibly have been known by anybody else.
But what's it like for the mediums to have these ethereal communicators speak through them?
Those sensations become more and more intense and build up to a point where I feel the personality actually taking part of my senses over. I become more and more unaware of my own body and also more and more unaware of my own thoughts.
I don't like the idea of like spirits reading my mind and then, all that. That's not cool. Wow. So what do y'all think of it so far? Do. Oops. I go a little too far. There we go. I think I'd like to visit England.
Visitors reported seeing and especially hearing these objects
Here's the
materialize
reports.
from out of nowhere. In the language of physical mediumship, these objects are called apports.
An apport is an object which is quite solid, which is brought from one location to another during an experimental session, but in so doing apparently passes through solid walls, doors, etc., Well, the total number of upwards that we had during the experimental sessions was about 80 or even more.
Now hold up. I know I didn't let that play long enough nearly. But, okay. If everything is made up of energy, I guess I don't know, objects can just, I don't know how the fuck that works for something to just appear. Kind of like that the Black Monk's house in England, Pontefract, how marbles and knives just appear and come flying out of the walls. Like, how? Science can't even, I don't know how they're going to address that. They probably haven't tried. Okay, everything is energy, so all the atoms and stuff that make up the matter of that would just, I guess, break apart for a moment for it to. Oh, I didn't study science nearly enough as like I should.
Whilst we were sitting here, this object would arrive, just materialise, and arrive on the table. And as it arrived, that's the sort of noise it would make.
Despite the fact that witnesses heard a loud bang every time an apport arrived, no matter how small, skeptics have dismissed this phenomenon as objects merely thrown into the air.
I would definitely need a spare pair of pants.
But the appearance of these apports are not so easy to explain away.
Oh, newspaper.
These newspapers arrived in pristine condition, despite having originated in the 1940s. But who might have sent it to the Scole Group, and why? The answer arrived, they say, when dead British medium Helen Duncan spoke to them via one of the mediums. During World War II, Duncan's life was ruined when she was arrested and imprisoned for practicing mediumship.
Oh my goodness.
As she described her ordeal to the group, this newspaper allegedly appeared out of nowhere.
Exactly, Vicky.
To their astonishment, displayed prominently on its front page was the story of Duncan's trial and conviction.
I think she suffered greatly for her mediumship, and she was really coming to wish us well. And she bought the newspaper as a sign of a very turbulent time in her life.
The scientists knew that an old newspaper could easily be copied and printed onto modern paper. So
no wonder people did this shit in the cellar. By the 90s, that wasn't a thing.
Station in England, indeed in the world, on paper and printing. And it was absolutely clear from their report that, first of all, it was done on letterpress, which has gone out of existence virtually since the early 1970s, I would say. It was newsprint produced during wartime, which lacked certain chemicals which you couldn't get hold of. So this was a genuine article which appeared 50 years after the
gay
event.
affair.
No one has been able to explain how it got there.
So where did all these imported objects come from?
We were told by the spirit team that they were never stolen, but were basically objects that had been lost or discarded, or at one time been owned by the spirit personality that brought them forward.
You get that? Either they were just discarded items, or they were actually items that were owned by the spirits themselves. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Oh. All right. I would definitely need a spare pair of pants. I'm sorry. But if something just came and fell out the damn ceiling out of nowhere, and how do these people just be so calm about it? These are questions that I have as a non-investigator. Let's see, where do I want to be now?
I shot camera to record the seance.
Oh, they did the
which took
infrared.
place in total darkness. As the seance progressed, the medium went into trance.
Oh, I had skipped this part earlier.
We were hoping to capture what visitors to Scole said they had witnessed, the levitation of solid objects. However, minutes later, we were asked to switch off the night shot camera, but secretly, we kept it running. And what we captured was truly astonishing. This heavy oak table rose into the air. But levitations were not the only phenomena we witnessed during these seances. Like the Scole Experiment, visitors to Baci's center say they have received apported objects. This woman is one of them.
Questo è un apporto che ho ricevuto al centro Baci. Al centro Baci succedono spesso queste cose ed è incredibile. Uno potrebbe dire uno li hanno messi là, se lo sono inventati, ma non è così, perché chi l'ha vissuto sa che questo è vero.
Once again, we were permitted to use night shot cameras in the hope of capturing the arrival of an apport. We were not disappointed. With the medium in trance, the camera crew were astonished when,
I thought I saw a little
they felt these flowers falling on them.
Look at all the flowers.
With the lights on, people reacted in amazement at just how many flowers had appeared.
This one is going in his head.
As they
And where the hell did the flowers come from? Like, those don't look like native flowers to Italy. Those look like some tropical flowers. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
They collected them. We continued our filming. Although we saw no signs of trickery, this seance was not conducted under controlled conditions.
Oh.
Therefore, critics could claim it was possible for someone to have thrown the flowers into the room.
Okay.
But apports which have a specific connection to departed loved
That one
ones
wasn't a controlled
frequently
experiment,
appear at the
so.
center. Connections that Baci has no previous knowledge of.
Sempre la prima sera mi è arrivato un apporto, una foglia di giada di questa grandezza, identica alla foglia che mio figlio aveva sulla tuta della foto che io ho portato quella sera per far conoscere mio figlio, ma che nessuno ancora aveva mai visto. Identica.
Well, okay. I think she had something there. She had a photo of her son who had like an ivy leaf that was like that one, and that fell when she was there. And nobody had seen the photo to know. All right. I'm getting a little crazy now.
It's a sleeve, like a cotton sleeve, very much like this, right up to the shoulder, and then it just stopped. There was nothing beyond where the shoulder would have been. It was a really amazing experience.
No, simulation. Okay.
Oh, I see it, yes.
Sometimes we would be touched by these hands. Sometimes we would invite them to touch us. Sometimes they would touch us on our knees, let's say, or on our feet, which, as it was a fraud campaign, were inaccessible to the mediums themselves.
So what's it like to touch one of these spirit hands?
It felt cool, but not cold. It didn't feel clammy, it didn't feel slimy, it felt like a normal human hand. And
Really?
they grasped my hand firmly.
I would have thought it would be like static electricity.
That they usually materialized a hand or an arm because it was easier than materializing a full body. But some cases of full bodies being materialized were reported.
I had the presence, the physical presence, of my mother, my father, and my sister, all in solid form, standing in front of me. all of whom I was able to hold, to embrace, and carry out conversations with them. I witnessed it so many times, it just becomes a normal thing.
Normal is a word strained by the experiences of the Scole Experiment.
When the paranormal becomes normal, does that mean you woke? When the paranormal becomes normal, I don't know. Like, no, he said it did not feel slimy or anything. He said it felt like a human hand. Maybe a little cooler, a little more coldness to it. I would have thought it would feel cold and like a little bit staticky, like touching a balloon after it's been rubbed on the carpet. Just that there's a little hint of, I don't know. We'll see.
Experience after experience, it gradually dawns on you, hey, there's something going on here that we can't explain by normal scientific laws, but which nevertheless exists.
I wish they had done that on a controlled experiment. And then I don't know why they didn't.
Years ago, I was staying in this old, very
Oh
old building.
no, we're not doing that. Oh.
They claim to be produced without any cameras and in the dark.
To eliminate any possibility of hoaxing, the scientists brought their own film and locked it in a specially designed security box.
now shit got real.
So that no one could get at it. And then immediately afterwards, we would take it out of the box ourselves so that no one else touched it, and then develop it ourselves in a special machine.
Despite all these precautions, the experiments continue to produce the incredible images seen here.
They were able to achieve whole lengths of film, sometimes
Wow.
up to as much as 4 feet, with various words, symbols, messages, all sorts of different things on that film.
Other films contain poems in centuries-old German and fragments of Greek, Chinese, Hebrew, Latin, and even Sanskrit. The Scole Group were ordinary people with no knowledge of these languages. But did these films have a purpose? If dead personalities were producing these images, why did they apparently design some of them as complex puzzles?
Providing something which is a puzzle, which is difficult to solve, is simply because it is difficult to solve. It isn't readily available. It can't be easily attributable to the person sitting around the table.
Despite lengthy investigations, the possible authors of some of the films, like this German poem, proved impossible to trace. But others were easier to track down. This one contains a poem by Frederick Myers. Intriguingly, Myers was one of the founders of the SPR and a passionate researcher into the evidence for life after death.
Wait a minute. Already forgotten what that stood for. Oh, Society for Psychic Research, I think. All right.
Before he died in 1901, he promised his colleagues at the SPR that he would try to communicate with them from the other side. Could this film actually represent evidence of the afterlife sent by one of its greatest investigators? Mostly the researchers were unclear as to who might have created these films. However, there were clues as to who the ghostly authors might be in the form of initials or signatures. For example, in this film, the signature appears to belong to the dead singer and actor Ivor Novello. This was received on one of the Scole films. Compare it to Novello's actual signature. Investigators say these
horrible
images were
handwriting
created in total darkness. But how?
I think that those pictures can be explained only by imagining that the spirits can project their recollections and images onto a film in some way we can't begin to understand. The only alternative explanation is they are all fakes, but I don't believe that there's evidence that that is the case.
Although the mechanism for their creation remains a mystery, investigators concluded they were unique.
As far as the photographic evidence is concerned at Scole, the strips of film, there has, in my view, never been anything like that at all, ever.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about, well, actually, even Dan Aykroyd is kind of into that and UFOs. He's probably more into the UFO part. But, wow. I'm just pausing for a moment. Oh, my goodness. All right, they're going to do more with their experiments.
Spurred on by the photographic experiments, the Scole group began a series of video experiments called Project Alice, after Alice through the looking glass. Their ambition was nothing less than to try and capture moving images sent from the spirit world. The Scole group insists that instructions on how to position the camera and mirrors came from their spirit communicators. They were told to set up a video camera in the dark cellar, aim it at a pair of mirrors so that it could only film its own viewfinder. While it was recording, nothing unusual was seen. But when the tape was played back, these remarkable pictures appeared.
We had images on the video, sometimes of what looked like a tunnel of light. Other times, spirit faces were coming towards us. Sometimes what appeared to be a doorway moving.
Yeah, a portal.
Skeptics claim these images were created by video feedback, occurring when a camera records its own output. But scientists have ruled this out. Video feedback doesn't produce this kind of result.
No, it doesn't.
These extraordinary pictures represent, we can only guess, since their meaning was never explained to the Scole group. This video, also totally unexplained, appears to be a ghostly face with moving eyes.
Oh.
Later, a few video experiments were attempted in full light. Again, nothing unusual was seen during the recording. However, on playback, this unworldly figure appeared. But was it possible for the Scole group to have faked these images? Not according to the investigator who monitored these experiments, this lawyer and businessman, Dr. Hans Scher.
There's absolutely no possibility that this film could have been prepared before, because I selected one of the video films which was in its original packaging, which I opened. I took the film out, I signed the film, and I put it personally in the video camera.
He inserted it into the camera. We never touched at any stage the camera or the film.
When we played the film, it showed at the beginning a number of bubbles of various.
I gotta pause it a minute. You know what this image reminds me of? That new telescope that guy has, and it's just his name, telescope, and he can see he can see more detail of the universe. That's what this reminds me of for some reason.
Colors.
Yeah.
But there was one particular bubble.
Oh, wow.
In which the face of a person.
He's got glasses on, a
man
mustache.
with
That's pretty clear.
Although Dr. Scher did not recognize this face, the Scole group thought it might have belonged to someone who was trying to communicate with him from the afterlife.
I have heard of the electronic voice phenomenon. I think it's actually one of the most disturbing and unnerving aspects of the notion of there being an afterlife.
No shit. All right, where are we now?
Up for your family. That's what really matters, and not to screw it up. And to remember they can be gone in a flash. You know, these other people, I feel so sorry for them because they have no way of communicating with those that they have lost. And they go around thinking, if only, if only, if only. I don't have to think that. And that's a good thing.
Although EVP provides some comfort to the bereaved, practitioners say that the voices are often unclear, always one way, and frustratingly short.
One way that we also communicated with spirit, and which was a very effective way, was by use of an ordinary, very cheap tape recorder whose amplifiers were used by the spirit team to carry on a two-way conversation with us.
We inspected this machine and found it was completely normal. Earlier, its built-in microphone had been removed to eliminate the possibility of recording anything. When the machine, which contained a blank cassette, was activated, witnesses were astonished when they heard this voice asking them a question. The Scole group say that
Holy
their
crap.
spirit communicators suggested ways of improving their experiments. For example, they told Professor Ellison, one of the SPR scientists, how to build a device for boosting communications via the tape recorder. But this information arrived in a very strange way.
On film. Spirits will tell you how to do
after
it.
An unexposed film locked in the security box was later processed by the scientists. The scientists speculated about who was providing this technical information. Their initials at the end of the film seemed to have solved this mystery.
I wrote to the Edison Memorial people in America, and they sent me a copy of one of his letters, which contained his initials, which look almost identical to the signature on this film.
Thomas Edison?
This matching set of initials convinced the researchers it was Thomas Edison providing this information.
Holy cow.
Not only was Edison the world's most famous inventor, he also had an enormous interest in the possibility of an afterlife.
I did not
His
know
intention to build a machine that could communicate with the dead made headlines around the world, but he died before being able to build it.
Oh.
Is it possible that through the Scole group, he finally achieved this aim?
My understanding of life after death.
Wow. Well, now that's trippy, Thomas Edison. Well, one would think that the spirits, when they cross over, would still be, you know, doing their thing, like Tesla. Ooh. Wonder why nobody's tried to contact Tesla. All right, so I just threw out an idea. Let's see. Magicians.
In 1999, after an exhaustive 2-year investigation, the investigators published their conclusions in the SPR's official proceedings. They were looking for evidence of a hoax. They sifted evidence for signs of fakery. But did they find it?
If you take all the phenomena within the whole of the Scole experiment over 2 years while we were there, I would say that the possibility of fraud and faking was nil.
Although the Scole report includes theoretical discussions about how individual phenomena might have been faked, the chief investigators concluded that events at Scole cannot be explained either by known scientific laws or by trickery. But psychology professor Chris French, the co-editor of Skeptic magazine, remains unconvinced.
There's lots of...
I've never heard of that magazine.
There's lots of different sources. The debate should be about the quality of the evidence. At the moment, on the basis of the available evidence, I'm not at all convinced that there is such a thing as life after death.
I think the skeptics regard the possibility of the survival of human consciousness as inherently so impossible that anyone must be rather crazy to believe it. But when you look at the evidence, you have to ask yourself whether you'd be even more crazy not to believe it, or to find some alternative explanation which makes any sort of sense. And I haven't found one.
Bachi.
When we die, we go into another.
Is indeed levitating.
The table levitated, was turned on its side, and began to spin very rapidly. The crystals never fell off. Even if there hadn't been crystals on the table, it would have been impossible to have turned the table sideways and rotated it with the speed at which it rotated. And we could see this because there were luminescent strips of crystal. And it began to spin around actually so rapidly it almost looked like a pinwheel.
As well as familiar spirit communicators, other voices the group say belong to dead relatives also attempted to communicate.
Someone for Shirley.
Yes. Dad?
Speak soon.
Hi, Dad.
I really do feel that my dad came and he was the one who put his hands on my shoulders. The way we were situated in the room, my chair was right up against a wall, and there was no way that a person could be behind me.
Then another hand appeared in front of them. But who did it belong to?
I know about all this handsy stuff.
Reg Lawrence, who was an engineer in his lifetime and who became very expert at producing voices from midair.
Hello, Red.
Hello, Brian. Very nice of you to have us here.
He just touched my hand.
Oh,
yes. Oh, he's stroking it. It's slightly cold, but it's flesh. He's shaking my hand. Oh my God. Reg, you've made my ear.
You've made mine.
As usual, Lawrence did not communicate through the mediums. Instead, the group could hear his voice projected from different parts of the room.
Oh my
Some of the voices were moving around the room, even a higher.
Wait, that's called a disembodied voice. When you can audibly hear it, not through the tape recorder, but like it's there in the room that you're standing in. I don't know. I might need a spare pair of pants.
in the rafter area that somebody would have had to climb up on a ladder to get up there, and there's no way that was happening.
The spirit team also came to be regarded as healers by the participants.
Has he got inside you, that light?
It's in my chest right now.
Oh, there's that light again, Vicky.
I was diagnosed with cancer, and a very fast-moving, dangerous cancer. I sat with Scole, and probably 2 to 3 weeks later, I had biopsies again, and they came back completely negative.
All of the visitors attending the LA session said the experience changed their lives forever.
When you walk out of that room, you definitely feel like you've been exposed to something very extraordinary.
We actually saw the spirits. And that's got to be positive evidence for survival.
We do live on after death. They certainly proved that to us that night.
Being survived in Auschwitz.
All right, dude. I'm going to go grab me something to drink real quick.
Previously, we have shown how experiments at Scole and with Battery provide powerful evidence for life after death. But some researchers think there may be another possible explanation. Could some of the remarkable events shown in this film be the result of human paranormal abilities like psychokinesis, the claimed ability of the mind to directly affect matter?
There's an enormous amount of evidence for the existence of psychokinesis. In the laboratory, we're talking mainly about the evidence of human consciousness on random number generators and very small events that can be totally controlled. There is clear evidence that people can affect things.
One of the most famous practitioners of psychokinesis, or PK, is a Russian housewife called Nina Kulagina. Kulagina was able to demonstrate her abilities under strictly controlled conditions in front of a team of scientists. Researchers who investigated her were convinced she was able to do this solely by the power of her mind. So could the Scole Group and their visitors unwittingly have created some or all of the phenomena using mind over matter?
As an explanation,
Matches?
although it's not more than just simply a label to it, this is psychokinesis and physical mediumship. Whether it is a spirit working through someone, a spirit acting directly on an object, or the medium's mind causing things to move.
Say there were real mind over matter things going on as opposed to conjuring tricks. Then how do we know they were coming from the minds of the disembodied people rather than from the minds of the mediums who were sitting in the room?
There is no definitive answer to this question. But the theory that these phenomena were due solely to psychokinesis from the living seems improbable, since PK produced in laboratories tends to be weak. Therefore, mind over matter from the living is unlikely to explain the huge range of phenomena featured in this film.
Emily, when did you live on the earth? A long time ago now. 19th century? Yes.
We simply have a number of clues of information which was extremely unlikely to have derived from the subconscious mind or the conscious mind of the medium. And the more impressive those are, the less likely it is that you can say that this is an aspect of mediumship. And the more likely it is, it's an aspect of discarnate communication.
It is almost over now because I'm not good with names. The lady that the TV series Medium was created by, I forget her name, but they kind of interview her and test her mediumship, which that's not part of the Scole Experiment. So I was going to skip that part. I don't know. It just seems like it seems like there's no words to describe the Scole Experiment. It's like everything we've been trying to get evidence of, they've got everything and then some. How they were able to manage getting such Class A responses is really beyond me. I actually would like to see more of what they did after this, like in the light instead of being in a dark, cellar. They actually did it during the daylight in an open room and in their own homes. So kind of can't wait to see that. Let's see what's left of this.
Previously, we traveled with the Scole group to Italy, where they first met with Marcello Bacci.
Marcello.
They say they were
Bacci.
able to talk to the spirits via his radio.
Come on, who's this? Come on up here.
But when the Scole group visited Bacci in a later session, he was having problems. For months, hundreds of people who came from around the world in the hope of hearing their dead loved ones were bitterly disappointed. All they heard was static. Bacci was depressed. He feared he had lost his unique talent. Then, in an extraordinary piece of luck, as our cameras rolled in an interview with Bacci, the radio, which had been silent for so long, burst into life.
Chiudete tutto.
He loses his shit. Oh, it's speaking in Italian.
Grazie Gregorio, però ci sono, vi prego stasera.
Bacci's drought was over. When the radio voice stopped, there was celebration.
Mamma mia, come che gli hanno detto.
Bacci felt he'd regained his ability to communicate with the spirits. But then joy turned to disappointment as he thought he had failed to record the voice.
Madonna, non è partito.
No. No, era partito, l'ho spento io, vai. L'ho già messo indietro.
Ah, te.
Mi fa sì. L'ho messo indietro.
Made that old man panic
Once
for
the
nothing.
recording was transcribed, Bacci told us the voice belonged to a spirit called Gregorio, a Catholic friar who had died many years ago. Later, independent researcher Dr. Toriello read the last part of this ghostly message.
Man, he passed his time just deceiving himself. Okay, but when all of you will be here where we are, okay, then you will find the answer to all your questions. I'm sorry, I cannot say more.
Yeah, I don't think spirits are supposed to tell us anything like that. Kind of makes you wonder. Which in some of the spirit box sessions I've seen people do on YouTube, a lot of times people ask if there's a hell, if there's a heaven and a hell. And I swear that it's very conflicting of the answers. But I'm of the theory that we create whatever it is that we believe. Because if you truly believe in something, you can kind of make that real. So I guess if you believe in some, hellish hellfire, I don't know, and you feel like you're deserving of the hellfire, then maybe that's where you're at. But the lady who had the cancer, I mean, if that was the case, I would think tons of people would have been flocking there for cures. But I don't think that happened, because that certainly wasn't pronounced in it. But I guess there's really no way of proving that it was due to, a light entering somebody's body that it cured them. It's possible. It's probably more probable than not, because it was like the only I don't know, variable that kind of intruded onto the situation. Let's see.
Level of bodily death are probably not so mysterious after all.
But could quantum theory explain one of the most shocking experiments conducted at Scole?
This particular experiment was perhaps the most important experiment of the whole series.
Previously, we showed how visitors reported seeing these balls of light appear before them. On this occasion,
that's
one of them
actual,
flew inside
real
a large
recorded
quartz crystal.
The crystal then levitated. You could see it glowing, and then descended into a Pyrex bowl. Then Arthur Ellison was invited to pick it up. He picked it up and satisfied himself that it was there and it was glowing, and he put it down again. He was asked right away to pick it up again. He tried to, and his fingers closed right over it. It dematerialized.
Dematerialization.
Then he was asked to pick it up again, and it rematerialized in his hand.
No way!
So this dumbfounded him. This is what finally convinced
I
him
agree,
that
Judy.
this was real, because it couldn't have been faked in any way. And he
But
put his head right over the top of the bowl in order to ensure that no hand or no instrument could interfere with it.
how?
Of course, we were totally amazed by this. Things do not materialize and dematerialize. This is against all the laws of nature. We're trained scientists, of course. We know how the world behaves, and it doesn't behave like that.
Now, when you really think what we're experiencing now, there's absolutely very cool. Yeah.
But what does this remarkable demonstration tell us about what might happen after death?
The spirit team told us that the
We
experiment with the
dematerialized.
crystal in the bowl gave a good example of what happened when we died, in that the essence of the crystal remained even when the physical part of the crystal had been removed. Our bodies represent the physical part, but the essence of ourselves remains the same. This, if you like, can be termed the soul.
I'll pause it there for a second. Actually, I have an old digital video camera that uses those tiny tapes, but I'm getting rid of it. I just bought a new one that doesn't use tapes at all. But it does seem like some of the older technology is even better than the new, especially when it comes to audio recording. The old type cassette. I mean, it's a film. Anyway, let's see what's left on here.
If I believe in the possibility of life after death, what do I think would happen after? I don't know. I just don't know, do you?
Well, I don't particularly want to have anything other than pure death, and I would rather not believe in survival. But I find it impossible to be intellectually honest and not believe in survival.
Tragically, during the production of this film, Montague Keane died. But this gave us the opportunity of testing whether or not he actually got his wish for oblivion. This came in the form of Alison Dubois. Dubois has become one of the most famous mediums in the world after her abilities were dramatized
we'll watch a little
in the hit TV show Medium.
When things come through that strong,
We visited the University of Arizona, where scientists were testing the abilities of America's top mediums. Here we challenged Alison Dubois to contact the spirit of Montague Keane.
it's not the same as when you're alive.
She was able to conduct her mediumship in full light, in front of the camera, with two researchers seated behind, asking questions.
Do you have any idea who this person is?
Dubois wasn't given any information about Keane. The only thing she was told was the first name of Keane's widow, Veronica.
The fact that he gets to still be here around the people he loves is huge to him.
Although many of Dubois' statements were vague, some were astonishingly accurate.
He went down at a podium, or no. He's showing a man falling at the podium, and falls, and he goes down at the podium. This is important. So like an assembly.
On the night of his death, Keane was taking part in a debate at the Royal Society of Arts in London. While defending his position, his voice faltered mid-sentence, and he died.
Take a rest.
No, I don't even know what it means. I mean, he's making me feel like either he had a heart attack or his breath was taken from him, but he's showing him knees buckling and going down.
Is there a doctor in the house?
People jumping up, like everybody rising. He goes down and they go up.
Right.
I don't know what to think of her. I have no opinions to really express on Alison Dubois and her abilities, but that did seem kind of vague. So anyway, this documentary is called The Afterlife Investigations, The Scole Experiments. You can find it on YouTube or check the link below in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now we can have open discussion and I can get this off my screen. Stop the screen. Whoa. Anyway. Was that not some crazy ass shit? I mean, crazy. I can't wrap my brain around it at all, really. But I did see one guy that they were interviewing was in a description. It was a magician. So yeah, there's all variants of people observing this group, trying to maintain the integrity of it and looking for trickery. And I think they had all of the experts there. I mean, there was scientists, biologists, magicians, mediums, parapsychologists, psychologists. Ugh. But yeah, when Bacci, the Italian guy with the radio, when the voices stopped, he almost became suicidal. Was so upset by it. And then they came back and then they stopped again. So there is no controlling the afterlife. Let's take that into some consideration. We can't say, hey, you need to speak to us tomorrow at 2 and then expect, something. Yeah, I guess it could happen if they have the energy to do it, but I don't know. I find objects, apports, that is just shocking, really. I mean, it really is. As long as the spirits don't like drop some kind of missing airliner out of the sky, I guess we'll be all right. But yeah, that was the Scole Experiment. And yes, SPR is the Society for Psychical, there's a word, research. Do. Yep, I guess that is it. Save. I'm on their website. Scrolling through photos. The skull seller. Wow. Just, yeah, and if you want to know anything more, you can Google SPR, Society for Psychical Research. I think there's even a place where you can donate money, because they're still trying to get all of these video recordings, transcripts together. They have, oh crap, was it like 90% or something? It says it somewhere on their site. I remember seeing it. Yeah, but they don't have it all together. Let's just say that. So oh, I had it backwards. Approximately 10% of the files have been published. So imagine that. We've only seen 10% of the everything that they've accumulated over 5 years. So, wow. I mean, if this is only 10%, that says a lot. Just saying. All right, turn that off. Do. I don't need that open anymore, or that. Put you over there. So anyway, yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I don't know why the voices just stopped. You would think that the spirits having that ability and being able to do that maybe other spirits would have stepped forward. There's my camera doing that funky thing. But yeah, that experiment, it really encompassed everything. Literally. So I don't know. Blew my mind. Blew my mind right out the water. So what do y'all think? Have any theories? Any thoughts? A port. Oh my God. And we had to have a word for that. Shit appearing out of nowhere. But if spirits have the ability to cure humans in a skin suit, oh, but that's like changing somebody's like life lessons, I guess, isn't it? Maybe some people are meant to go through that kind of shit, which I'm sorry, I don't understand any of that. I don't know what the lesson is behind suffrage, but whatever. I really want to see more of the experiments done in the light. Cell phone. But yeah, now I don't know what to say. I'm like speechless as to all that shit. Oh. Well, when was it that mediumship was like illegal? Like you could be imprisoned for, I guess that's why all the mediums back then were on the down low. The more you're aware, the more you will experience. Oh, that, I can see why that would have some truth to it. I'd rather not. But that's just fear. I don't want to know. Maybe one day I will, though. That's wild. Plus, I always wonder if, like, our soul is fragmented across multi-dimensions. And maybe I'm not phrasing that correctly. But let's say I believe in reincarnation. I die, I go wherever the fuck I go and do whatever the fuck I need to do, and then I reincarnate. Would not a piece of my soul still be there, crossed over on the other side? And as well as my current reincarnation? Did that make any sense at all? I got my Make America Smart Again. It's a 4-year mission. Yeah. Believe and faith, man. Oh, this camera. That's all right. It's much better fuzzy. So you think that's true? Like a piece of us stays on the other side? Would that be our higher self? Well, I just created a thinker for myself. If that's our higher self. I don't know, because my mind is still blown from Scole. But then there's the question of, should we know? I mean, of course, everybody's going to want to know what our origins are. But going beyond that and getting into the crossover and other dimensions and the cycle, that's a little different. That's a lot different, actually. I hope I didn't make that confusing, because it really did start. It started to get confusing to me when I was reading stuff because I'm like, Scole, isn't that in Italy? And then they're like, Scole, Norfolk. What? Norfolk? So it's like on a border of Norfolk and Suffolk, or I don't know, in England. Scole. Anyway. But they visited several different countries. I think Germany, Italy. In a cellar. And damn, I don't like the color of them walls was like a dark blue. Well, at least it wasn't black. That'd freak me out. That would have been like the darkest hole. Well, it probably still would be with that dark blue. You probably couldn't see shit. Thank God the spirits brought in the light. Yeah, we're still not ready. We're still teenagers, I think, when it comes to all of that. It's like, huh? It's like we want to know, but we don't really want to know. Like we want to know, but we don't want to know it's like that. It's kind of like people would like to know aliens, but not like that. I can't. I don't know if I want to or not, honestly. I don't know. I think mine just boils down to my beliefs without receipts. Like, I think every organized religion in the world has some attribute to it that if we were to combine all of these, we probably would have the answer. But because we're either restrictive, put up limitations, we don't get along with those people, so we don't want to talk to those people because their beliefs aren't the same as ours. We just lack that respectful communication. So I don't know what the odds are that we're going to get the answer because we just can't come together as a species, actually. It's all about conquering and who's right, who to blame, blah, blah, blah. Get over it already. We're all here trying to do the same shit. But yeah, like the, blurry. We're in the Matrix now. I should have turned my phone off. The Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints, believe that when you die, your spirit goes to some planet. I don't remember the name of the planet. But that's kind of like if we all become matter, then we all become part of what is the essence of the universe. So that kind of makes a little sense. And then there's the tree of life. Yeah. I think Christ wanted religion. He wanted his teachings to be discussed. But he did not want a leader. He wanted it to be called the way. And everybody come together as a community and discuss things. There's no one leader. And boy, did the Catholic Church take that to a whole new level. Exactly. There has to be discussion because there's bias in everything. And of course, we're like, oh, but they're not like me. Fear. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the way. Yeah, because Jesus was like, which I never understood that part of the Bible when like all the disciples were going off and trying to, convert people and form this fucking religion. And Peter built the rock on the church, on the rock, whatever. Well, yeah, there always has to be the aspects of life that are controlling. If we weren't, we would be far more advanced than we are now. Which I think some people fear that. Or non-people. But, yeah, all these like historical writings, and now they're sacred. It's all right. It's all right. It's what you believe. What you believe, what you believe. I know it's really hard to shrug off some of that Catholicism that I grew up with. Man, talk about indoctrination. Woo! You join the Catholic Church, there is no way you're going to convert to any other fucking religion. You just don't have time for that. I ain't got time for that. No. And there's no way in hell I could like wake up, 4 or 5 times a day and call to prayer and whip out a mat. And no, I'm not that kind of structured person. Lucky to see my ass on a holiday. But anyway, about an hour and 45 minutes now, and there's only 2 people here. Oh, killer. Yeah. Ooh. They got the holy underwear, and they got some weird stuff. Oh. And is it John Smith? I think it's John. Had a son with the same name. And he believes that when Jesus comes back, that he's going to visit the Garden of Eden, which he believes is 32 miles north of Kansas City, Missouri. So when Jesus comes back, he's not going to, go to the Mesopotamia, Jerusalem, or anything. He's going to be in 32 miles north of Kansas City. Which, by the way, if you think that, then you must believe that Jesus is a real fan of barbecue and crystal meth. Just saying. Who knows? Jesus might be all down with barbecue. And I believe that Kansas City, Missouri's got some badass barbecue. I'm not going to go to Texas for barbecue. Anyway, that was way off topic. They built a temple in Independence and said he would come there. Oh. They need to stop. I can't with people. How many temples have people built historically, even like the, you know, the Aztecs, and I don't even care, the Egyptians? How much temples have they built, and how successful were they? Just saying. Oh, I bet it is. Well, they're the richest damn. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're probably wealthier than the Catholic Church at this point. The Catholic Church is only wealthy because of all the shit they stole. I think they stole some shit. Not all of it, though. But yeah, the paintings and the gold scepters and the blah, 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 that the Catholic Church just, you know, there's no, it's, it's priceless. So I don't even know how you would go to evaluate that kind of shit. But as far as like monetary, the Catholic Church is losing it. Like, I think between now and May of next year, they're closing a lot of churches and our private high schools even. Like, I just learned that Rosati Kane down in the city is going to close. They haven't yet, but they have like 18%. That's like nothing. Now, my high school, Incarnate Word, they're doing very well, but they're really not located in a great area. But neither is Rosati Kane in the city. So, but Rosati, God, that's an old high school. They were like one of our. Yeah, we didn't like Rosati Kane when I was in school. Yeah, they took a lot. And oh yeah, we don't know what all they have. We speculate. And Pope Frank pissed off the mafia, and I don't know, moved some money around, closed some accounts. He was like, we don't need all this shit going on. But the church itself has a lot to be accountable for. It's just weird how it's the main focus is Catholic Church. I know things happen in other denominations, but probably not as much as the Catholics have done. Wow, to the Native Americans, to orphans, Mother Teresa, watching people suffer. Because, you know, oh, whoa. Can somebody tell me what Mother Teresa did? Besides just being there for those who were very ill, you know, and taking care of them, not to the point of trying to cure them, but just, you know, trying to make them comfortable. I don't know what it is she did. Oh, maybe she got help for people who didn't have medical coverage, kind of thing. Like, yeah, no hospitals. It's a thinker, isn't it? Because I think they made her a saint. I don't know of any miracles she's like performed. There's a whole regimen of shit you have to qualify for to be a saint in the Catholic Church. In fact, they denounced Saint Christopher. He was the patron saint of travel because he didn't perform as many miracles as he should have. But there's still Catholics who think of him as a saint, still pray to him and whatever. So what's the difference between Catholics and saints and the Hindus and all their gods and goddesses? Just throwing that out there. yeah, I think life is very crazy. I mean, I took science in high school, and I did very well at it, but I didn't get into like physics. You know, chemistry was the last of the line of that. Oh, okay. I'll go there. So good. So good. It was hard to make that fun though, because that documentary was like thick with evidence. I'm still mind blown. I've been mind blown since I've been trying to put this shit together. So at least YouTube didn't shut me down for copyright. Ooh, rock on. But the table rising up and spinning with the crystals on it, that wow. And the film. And they even went like 2 steps forward and like put like undeveloped film, brand new film in a box with a padlock on the bitch. It was, you can't explain that. You just can't. I don't care. So there's bound to be something after we cross over. Boy, but that transition's probably going to be fun to learn that you're just made up of energy or matter. And what do they call it when the guy was trying to grab the crystal and he couldn't? Wow. So wild. But yeah, I would advise anybody to watch the full documentary. Again, it's only 10% of what they've done, so it kind of keeps repeating back to pictures or events, which is a little irritating. But or they interview people on the street, which I didn't like. So those were the parts I was skipping. We don't need to, get Joe Blow's opinion on the street, okay? Anyway. Well, I'm kind of glad that's over with because that was like a lot. Well, it was a lot for me. Some people are used to doing this kind of thing. And I haven't quite mastered the organizing of everything. He had butterfly fingers. It was so weird. That better not happen to me. If I pick up a rock, it better be there. Don't show me some shit and then, oh, no. Oh, really? Oh, I need to find some Polaroid film. I look on Amazon and it's some kind of film for some kind of a mini camera. I don't know. It's just got a weird name to it. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh, and I should get a new office chair in the next week. Thank you, God. I'm so sick of sitting on folding chairs. It is so not comfortable. I should Google that. But that was weird. Like, some of the photos were like historical. Like, what do you say? The Blitzkrieg? I suck at history. I'll just leave it at that. I'm better at science than I am history. But then you look at all the writing and it's like, how do they know what it was? You'd have to have so many experts looking at that shit. I don't know. Anyway, well, I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that thumbs up. Leave a comment if you want to. If not, that's okay too. So yeah. Everybody, I hope you all have a great night. And I'm sure I'll be around somewhere. So yes. Thank you for viewing the Scole Experiment. All right. You guys have a great night. Peace out.